Hi everyone, it's me Liz with 143 Handmade. Welcome. I have been, distracted this year. This year kind of got away from me. I am back. Things were going along. We had the holidays, we had this and that and the other, and things kind of went left for a second, but we're back on our feet. We're all good. Things are heading in a really good direction. We just got really caught up in getting prepped for some of our new decisions. My husband and I are doing a farmer's market this year, and which brings me back to my gourds. A few months ago, I posted a picture of my gourds in bloom. Or not in bloom, but like in growth, showing how big they were. Now, these are just volunteers. I did not really plant these. I got a handful of gourds years ago, and every year I have grown a handful since then because my dogs like them, and so we just use them for dog toys and the occasional bird feeder. I don't put out a lot of bird feeders because I have cats and I felt like I was baiting the birds, so we don't really do the bird feeder thing a lot, but they are really good for that and they're really pretty. Some of them this year grew big enough that I'm going to try making some bowls and all kinds of things, so I thought I would just share my process. So, now that I've chatted for about a minute, let's, get started. So this is what the gourds look like after they have sat for a year in the weather. We did not keep them, all we did was cut them off the vine and put them into this little cattle panel cage that we have for various animals as needed. This year we didn't need it for any animals, so we used it to protect the gourds from the dogs and from the raccoons and the birds and the this and the that and the other. We still lost a few. I didn't come in here and mess with them all the time, or anything like that. I did come in and move them like 3 or 4 times throughout the season, and just so that way the ones on the very bottom weren't just on the very bottom the whole time, that sort of thing. Some ants got into a few, and some just turned to mush because they weren't ready, like those sort of things. You're gonna have some loss, but that's all we did. And they can turn really, really gross. Like, they get to be looking really black on some of them barely show any kind of mold at all. I think it has to do, there's a lot of different factors, but I think part of it is how ripe it was. And so I think the more ripe it is, the cleaner it cures. The less ripe it is, the more it struggles to get there. But so this is step 1, is just letting them dry, which took months out here in the sun. And then we go over to my washing station. Okay, here we are. I just have a garden hose, and I have this is just a big black tray. You can get these at most hardware stores for they're over there in the concrete area for mixing concrete in, but they come in handy in all types of different ways. And so but I have it full of water, and then on top of that I have a towel that I laid across the top of it to keep the moisture on top, because they are hollow, so they won't keeping them submerged is really difficult. And as you can see, like over here on this one, it didn't work perfectly. I still have a dry spot. And it works. It's so much easier to clean it if you soak it for a little while. How long you soak it just depends on you. It can be anywhere from just a few minutes to overnight. I wouldn't suggest leaving it more than overnight though. And then I just take this. This is just a bit of, what do they call it these days? It's not steel wool anymore. It's coiled steel. Yes, that's what it was. Coiled steel. And it gets funky. It does, but it does the job really, really well. You can just use a cloth. I found this to be more effective because it actually does a little bit of a sanding action. So hang on, I'm gonna set the camera up so you can actually watch me scrub. Okay, so now it really is as easy as you just, I'm going to turn this one because it has that dry spot. That one over there. Here, let's grab this one. Okay, now this one is a goner. I'm not going to be able to use that. Okay, so I'm not going to bother to scrub it off. But I will use it to show you real quick though. See, that looks really, really bad. And see how clean it comes off. So they do come clean. Surprisingly, how much comes off. how easily. But I like to kind of scrub down in the water, you know, and just that quick. That one's pretty much ready to be rinsed off. I will do a little extra on the bottoms, you know, because the bottoms right here tend to be a little bit difficult. And this one's got some raised bumps on it, so wherever there's a raised bump, you're going to have to do a little bit extra right on the edges. And then I always do a little extra with my thumbnail right there on the base of the stem. There you go. And then just a little on the stem. And I usually cut the stems off, so you just take it and we rinse it. There we go. And that one is ready to just dry in the sun and be ready to, it's ready to be crafted with. You know, you can drill into that, you can paint it, you can do whatever you want with it. So we will be, my husband and I will be at the Sallisaw Farmers Market. Definitely the first Saturday. We will be there more Saturdays than Wednesdays. It is open on Saturdays and Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to noon, right next to the Sallisaw Public Library. So that is where it is. That's where we'll be. If you're local, come on down and see us. I'll have some handmade books. I will have the gourds in various ways and amongst other things. So I'll be doing over the next couple weeks because it's 2 weeks away roughly. And so over the next couple weeks, I'm going to try and do a handful of videos showing like my prep, you know. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys again soon.